I'm like a kid in the candy shop. It's like your babies out there that you cut the umbilical cord. Now now they doing their thing. I just can't wait to see him get down tonight. It's gonna be a problem after tonight, though. I promise you that.
Sorry, pops. I ain't do what I was supposed to do fully, but we'll live to see another opportunity.
What's going on?
Honored to see you.
How you feeling? Well, we're glad to have you. Are we taking care of you? You need anything? Let's have 12 play well today, right? All right. Good to see you, man. Hey, guys.
The information that Jimmy Haslam has officially lost his mind was confirmed tonight after a bombshell leak came straight out of Berea, and people inside the league are still trying to process what they just heard. Multiple sources with direct knowledge of the situation say the Cleveland Browns have quietly put together a contract offer so massive, so unprecedented, that it has already sent shockwaves through the league office. A record-breaking deal has reportedly been placed on the table for Deion Sanders, and calling it historic doesn't even begin to cover it. According to multiple insiders, this contract doesn't just break coaching salary records, it obliterates them in a way the NFL has never seen before.
He had to do what he had to do, and he made it through the storms. And I'm proud of him, man. As a father, I'm proud of him because I know.
The number that has executives around the league choking on their coffee is $25 million per year. That figure alone puts this deal in a category that most owners wouldn't even consider, let alone approve. To put it in perspective, this would make Deion Sanders one of the highest paid figures in professional football history, regardless of position or title. And here's where the situation goes from shocking to completely unhinged. This isn't even a traditional head coaching role. Sources indicate that Sanders would not be the primary game day decision maker, not the official head coach in name, and not the person calling plays. Instead, this contract is being structured around influence, presence, and control, not a headset and a play sheet. Jimmy Haslam is essentially willing to commit $250 million over the life of this deal to ensure one thing above all else: that Shedeur Sanders is comfortable, protected, and fully supported at the professional level. This is not subtle, and it's not accidental. However, buried deep inside this unprecedented offer is a legal landmine that could blow the entire thing apart. According to league-connected legal sources, the NFL office has already issued a cease and desist warning to the Browns organization, stating that the proposed structure of this contract may violate salary cap rules. Yes, salary cap rules. Even though this isn't a player contract, league officials are reportedly concerned that the deal functions as a competitive workaround, creating an indirect advantage that other teams cannot replicate. That's why this situation has landed directly on the desk of Roger Goodell, and it's why New York is already pushing back hard.
Proud of him because a lot of things happen behind the curtains that people are not privy to, and I'm proud of his endurance, his understanding. He can't control a lot of things that transpired.
This is the contract that has executives whispering, agents panicking, and owners furious behind closed doors. The league sees it as unfair, dangerous, and potentially precedent-shattering. And that's exactly why it's being scrutinized at the highest level. During tonight's game, the Cleveland Browns didn't just move the needle. They ripped it off the dashboard, snapped it in half, and launched it straight into the sun. For decades, the shores of Lake Erie have been where quarterback dreams go to die. Heisman winners, first-round picks, five-star prospects, all swallowed by the same gray, cold football graveyard. This franchise has been branded the factory of sadness for a reason. October collapses, wasted seasons, coaching resets, and endless memes have defined Browns football for generations. And Jimmy Haslam has clearly had enough of being the punchline. Sources say Haslam is exhausted by the jokes, sick of the apathy, and furious over watching seasons end before Halloween. He is done pretending patience is a strategy. This move is desperation mixed with defiance, and it's the loudest statement the Browns have made in decades. This isn't just about hiring a coach. This is about a prime takeover, and insiders stress that phrase is not being used lightly. Reports indicate the Browns have also explored a version of this deal that could reach $30 million per year, depending on incentives and long-term control clauses. That's where the league office truly loses its mind, because this isn't just money, it's power. Power over culture, development, branding, and the future of the franchise. The NFL doesn't know how to regulate something like this because it's never existed before.
Now I want to turn our attention and talk to our fans, okay? And I want you to hear this, okay? First of all, ownership takes full responsibility for where we are. To win 8 games in 2 years is horrible. It's totally unacceptable, okay? And it's not going to continue, okay? And I want the fans to know we are as frustrated as you are, and we hear a lot from our fans, which we actually appreciate. We have great fans, they're extremely passionate, and they deserve better than what they've gotten the last 2 years, okay? No, I don't need to say anything else. We are going to give you a better product. Our sole goal here is to be a consistent winner, not make the playoffs in 20 and then make it again in 23, not win 8 games in 2 years. That's not what we're trying to do. That's not acceptable. Our fans deserve better.
The front office knows exactly what they're doing. They know this deal will be challenged. They know it will be criticized. And they also know that if it works, it could permanently change how influence is valued in professional football. And that final twist, the one that has New York buzzing with exaggerated concern, is simple. If this deal goes through, it proves that the Browns are willing to break the old rules to finally stop losing. And that's what scares the rest of the league the most. This situation goes far beyond the simple idea of a coach's salary. What the Browns are attempting to do here is being framed internally as a strategic business partnership, not a football hire. That distinction is critical because it explains why the numbers look insane and why the league office is already uneasy. By structuring the deal this way, the Browns aren't just stretching the coaching pay scale, they're trying to step completely outside of it. The goal is to fuse the Sanders brand directly into the Cleveland Browns ecosystem, creating a financial and cultural powerhouse that operates differently from anything the NFL has seen before. According to League Whispers, this isn't about Deion Sanders showing up on Sundays just to wear a headset and pace the sideline. His role would extend far beyond football operations. Sources describe him as a personal architect, a protector, and a stabilizing presence designed specifically around the development of Shedeur Sanders. That's exactly why the NFL is alarmed. Officials in New York are reportedly worried that this structure functions as a backdoor transfer of wealth, funneling massive organizational resources toward one family under the disguise of a non-player contract. From the league's perspective, this blurs a line they've spent decades defending. If executed as rumored, this arrangement would effectively make Shedeur Sanders the highest compensated rookie conceptually in league history, even if not officially on paper. That's the part that has executives furious and rival owners demanding answers. To understand why this is happening now, you have to rewind to the moment when the carefully crafted image finally cracked. For over 30 years, Deion Sanders built an unbreakable persona. Flash, confidence, bravado. The gold sunglasses, the self-belief delivered before the first snap was ever played. That version of Deion was always in control, always smiling, always performing.
Shedeur, I can't wait to go see him play. You know, can't wait to. And he's like, when you come into a game, I said, when you play. What am I going to come and see you sit? I can watch that on TV. I'm not going to see you sit. When you play, I'm coming.
But something changed when the cameras caught him at a youth clinic in Boulder just days ago. That wasn't the version you see in media guides or promo spots. That was a father. And the prime persona quietly disappeared. The shift happened the moment it became clear that Shedeur Sanders was about to be thrown into the fire in Cleveland, stepping in after Dillon Gabriel went down with a concussion against a Ravens defense that was playing angry and aggressive. There was no celebration, no viral post, no victory lap. Instead, Deion unraveled. He later admitted that he was crying uncontrollably, so overwhelmed that he asked his oldest son, Deion Jr., to leave the room because he couldn't regain his composure. That moment matters because it explains everything that followed. This rumored $30 million figure didn't come from arrogance. It came from fear. Deion Sanders knows exactly what the NFL can do to young quarterbacks. He's seen careers destroyed not by talent gaps, but by broken environments. He understands that a quarterback can be ruined in 6 games if the offensive line collapses, the scheme is unstable, and the coaching staff fails to adjust. He's watched it happen up close in Cleveland before. He watched Baker Mayfield get chewed up by instability. He watched Deshaun Watson struggle under pressure, expectations, and dysfunction. Those scars aren't theoretical, they're documented. There was never a question in Deion's mind about whether Shedeur could play at this level. That debate never existed. The only question that mattered was whether the environment would sabotage his potential before it had a chance to flourish. That's why this deal is being treated as a package, not a negotiation. If the Browns want the son, they must accept the father's presence as a guardian, not a consultant, not a figurehead, a constant. This is being framed internally as Sanders or nothing. No half measures. No handshake promises. No trust the process talk. From Cleveland's side, desperation meets opportunity. From Deion's side, protection meets leverage. And from the league's side, this looks like a dangerous precedent that threatens the very structure of how power and money flow in the NFL. This isn't about ego anymore. It's about control, safety, and survival in a league that eats young quarterbacks alive. And that's why the ultimatum feels so heavy. At this point, Jimmy Haslam has no choice but to push every chip he owns to the center of the table. This isn't a cautious rebuild or a measured adjustment. This is an all-in gamble, and Haslam knows it. The Browns aren't thinking small anymore. They're thinking endgame. Now let's talk about the plan that has league insiders buzzing. Because Cleveland isn't just throwing money around without structure. They know Deion Sanders can flip culture overnight. He brings belief, confidence, accountability, and spotlight wherever he goes. But the Browns also understand something just as important. Culture alone doesn't win on Sundays. That's where the next layer of this plan comes into focus. Cleveland wants the brains and discipline to match the flash. And that's exactly why whispers about John Harbaugh have started circulating behind closed doors. According to multiple sources, the vision is bold and calculated. Combine Harbaugh's surgical understanding of X's and O's with Deion's magnetic leadership and recruiting pull. It's structure meets swagger. Discipline colliding with dominance. Imagine the most buttoned-up coaching tree in football colliding head-on with the most high-voltage personality the sport has ever produced. That combination alone has executives uneasy. One unnamed NFC general manager reportedly said he would file a lawsuit the moment the contract becomes official. Not because of jealousy, but fear. Fear that the rules of roster building are about to be rewritten in real time. The rest of the league understands exactly what this would mean. If Deion Sanders gains influence inside an NFL building backed by massive financial resources, recruiting changes overnight. Take a top-tier wide receiver hitting free agency. Historically, Cleveland has had to pay what insiders call a misery tax. Cold weather, losing history, media pressure. The Browns usually have to overpay by 20% just to get a meeting. But what happens when that phone rings and it's Deion Sanders on the line? What happens when Coach Prime walks into your living room and says, "You're the missing piece"? What happens when he tells you that you'll be featured in the most watched, most talked about offense in the AFC North? Suddenly, Cleveland isn't a cemetery anymore. It's a stage. And not just any stage, the main event. That's where the business side flips the narrative completely. That $30 million salary everyone is screaming about. Internally, the Browns view it as a bargain. Merchandise sales would explode overnight. Ticket prices would spike. Primetime television slots would follow. Even in a mediocre win-loss season, the Browns would instantly become one of the most profitable teams in professional sports. They could finish 8, 9, or even 7, 10, and still be the most valuable version of that record the league has ever seen. That's the reality executives don't want to admit publicly. Of course, the backlash is already loading in the chamber. The moment Shedeur Sanders throws his first interception, the critics will sprint to their keyboards. The internet will flood with accusations. Favoritism, nepotism, claims that he's only playing because his father is nearby with influence. They'll say Deion is protecting his son instead of protecting the team. They'll question every decision, every snap, every adjustment. But that narrative collapses the moment you turn on the film. Look at the tape from Colorado. Look at what Shedeur did behind an offensive line that barely functioned. That line wasn't protection, it was survival. Defenders came through, untouched. Pockets collapsed instantly. And still, Shedeur stood tall. He delivered throws that made scouts lean forward in their seats. He absorbed more hits than almost any quarterback in the country. And yet he didn't fold. He didn't shrink. He didn't lose composure. He kept producing. He kept competing. He kept getting back up. That's the part critics conveniently ignore. This isn't a quarterback being shielded from pressure. This is a quarterback who has already lived in chaos and came out sharper. And that's why this plan feels dangerous to the rest of the league. Because it blends discipline, star power, money, and resilience into one ecosystem. The Browns aren't just trying to win games anymore. They're trying to change the rules of engagement. His toughness mirrors that of Shedeur Sanders, but what separates him even more is the chip on his shoulder, carved there the moment he slid to the 5th round. That draft position never left his memory, not for a second. And neither Deion Sanders nor his son view this situation as a favor, a shortcut, or a gift. In Deion's eyes, this isn't privilege. This is a rescue operation. He sees a league that is terrified of real personalities, a league that prefers silence over confidence, compliance over individuality. And he sees a franchise, the Cleveland Browns, starving for exactly the thing the NFL tries hardest to suppress: personality. The last real obstacle standing in the way is the professional locker room. Critics keep circling the same question. Will Deion's college-style motivation land with veterans who are 30 years old, have families, mortgages, and bodies that ache every morning? That question sounds logical on the surface, but it ignores the most important detail of all. When Deion Sanders speaks about football, he is not speaking in slogans. He is not pulling lines from a playbook or a PowerPoint slide. He is speaking as a Hall of Famer. When he explains how to read a safety, he's done it at the highest level. When he talks about baiting a cornerback, he's lived it against the best to ever play the game. That voice doesn't come from theory. It comes from experience. This is not a motivational speaker addressing athletes. This is a man who owns a gold jacket in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, talking to professionals who understand exactly what that means. You don't ignore someone who's carved into the Mount Rushmore of football history. You listen. As this potential announcement inches closer to reality, the stakes couldn't be higher. This is not a rebuild. This is not a retool. This is the most extreme experiment professional football has ever flirted with. It's a high-wire axe suspended over a burning pit. If it works, the transformation will be instant and historic. The rebranding of the Cleveland Browns would become the single most successful turnaround project in global sports business history. A franchise once mocked would become must-see television. A punchline would become a destination. Cleveland would stop being a warning and start being an example. But if it fails, the collapse would be violent, relentless, public, a circus that echoes for a decade. Coaches would scatter, executives would hide, and the Browns would be forced to start over yet again with scars deeper than before. There is no middle ground here, no soft landing, no quiet reset. And yet one thing is already undeniable. No one will be able to look away. Not the critics, not the fans, and absolutely not the NFL office. This isn't a rumor anymore. This isn't speculation. This is momentum. In Cleveland, the idea of a golden age is no longer hypothetical. It's staring the league in the face, daring it to intervene, daring it to stop what feels inevitable. Whatever happens next will reshape how power, personality, and protection coexist in professional football, and the NFL knows it.